I apologize, it's the 14th.
That's correct.
Okay, so you just let me know when you're ready and we'll get started.
I don't have any position numbers. I'm just going to be saying names.
Okay, that's fine.
Come on, you first. What's your name?
Tamira Turner.
This is Samir Turner.
Okay.
I didn't get that. Who did he say?
I think it's Tamir. Is it Tamir Turner? Tamira Turner? Is that right, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tamira.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's position number 19.
My video is blocked.
Okay. If we can see if we can allow Mr. McLean's video to. There you go. Good afternoon, Mr. McLean. Good afternoon, Ms. Turner. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're offering you the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their services. Ms. Turner, you've been charged in case 24 CR 008369D with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and tampering with evidence. Let's see, who do we have on from pretrial this afternoon? Anyone? So, Ms. Desiano or Ms. Allen?
Judge.
I think
Yes.
Miss Allen just got kicked out, Your Honor. Hold on.
Anybody got kicked out?
Jill, iPhone, we're not getting a picture right now and we can't hear you. And Ms. Desiano, since I've got you here, position number 6, Ms. Gill is being malprosed, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Am I
Okay.
sending the order to Miss Lewis or Miss Strong?
Miss Bridgewater, I believe.
Yes, you're gonna send it to Miss Bridgewater.
Oh, just kidding.
That's correct. If she can't get the email come through, you can send it to Miss Strong or me. We'll make sure it get printed out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Your
Ms.
Honor,
Lewis.
I don't know if this is feasible with the Jill iPhone we have, but I have the first half of the calendar through,
Okay.
let's see. Well, part of I have 1 through 7, number 9, number 10, number 11, and number 12.
I don't have.
Okay, Joe, Norris, okay, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Hold on. You think we can go inside 17? One
We're
at a
ready
time.
on-
Close 12.
We're ready on Miss. Is Miss Turner not still there?
Come on. Yeah, let's go inside 17, man. That way you can be close out. You can be close out there. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you.
Okay, here's Miss Turner.
Okay, so I've already let Miss Turner know what she was charged with. This is your case, Miss Allen? And we don't have nobody from pretrial is on, so if you have a history for me, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I have pre-trial here.
Oh, you have pretrial there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Jackson. Yes, is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor, she has 4 cycles. The last arrest was December the 20th, 2023. in Fulton County for theft by shoplifting, a misdemeanor. That case appeared to be still pending. Actually, that was with the city of Atlanta, Your Honor. There were no convictions listed in the GCIC. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 2, nothing in addition.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This was on the 29th of December at about 12 a.m. at the intersection of Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard and West End Avenue. Officers initiated a traffic stop on a vehicle. The tag was run. That vehicle was not found in the system. The defendant was the driver. She had no proof of insurance or that the vehicle was registered. When officers went to try to locate the VIN on the side of the door panel, it had been marked through. And it was unable to be read. Officers were issuing a citation and had called to have a towing company come and take the vehicle when someone appeared from off-site, surprising officers. The defendant had been told to get her vehicle items so that it could be towed, and that male individual then left with the vehicle. So she was charged with obstruction for failing to follow commands by officers and misdemeanor tampering with evidence for removing and concealing that evidence, the car, so officers could not further investigate the issue there. We're asking for a $3,000 surety, no drugs, alcohol, weapons, no driving. I'll note that she came in with a $10,000 surety bond on that single charge of obstruction. So we're not asking for the $10,000 surety. We're asking for three, one for obstruction and two for tampering. I do not believe the vehicle has been found yet.
Yes, Mr. McLean, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. My 35-year-old client has a stable address on Buffett Trail in Riverdale. She does have that shoplifting open case. She has one from about 3 years prior. Education level is high school. She saw the Morehouse police out there, and she called the owner of the car that she had borrowed to transport. I believe she was using the car for a while, so I don't know so she called the owner to come take care of the situation. Apparently the owner decided to drive off. She's being blamed for that. So she's an area manager of 5 school caps and works for APS. We'd ask for a signature bond.
All right, for each charge, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Yes, Ms. Turner.
Good afternoon, Judge. So in my defense.
Now, hold on, Ms. Turner. I've given you a signature bond. You have a right to remain silent. Okay, so you'll be able to deal with this as time goes on. But for today, which is only a bond hearing, I've given you a signature bond so that you can sign yourself out. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Your Honor, this is going to be Miss Adrienne Hewitt.
Okay, Ms. Hewitt, Adrienne Hewitt is position number 9. Good afternoon, Ms. Hewitt. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008359G with 2 counts of battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Did 2 counts. But I had 1 count.
We'll let them explain to you, Ms. Hewitt. Okay.
Yes, she has 21 cycles. The last arrest was February 6, 2024. That was in Fulton County. Your Honor, this is going to be a bond surrender. That case number is 24 CR 000658 and the letter G. and the underlying charge is for battery. She does have one prior felony conviction that was in 2004 for possession of cocaine. And she has misdemeanor convictions, one in 2014 for driving without a valid license, one in 2012 out of DeKalb County for a hit and run, an additional one in 2012 for disorderly conduct, one in 2010 for theft by shoplifting. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition.
Stesiano?
Your Honor, incident happened on the 28th at 2135 Godby Road. Officers responded there to dispute. The case that pretrial is coming off of is a battery case, 24 CR 658G. It's a different victim. However, it's the same incident location. Judge Williams ordered the defendant to stay away from that location back in February. Of course, that didn't happen. The victim in this case is Mr. Larry Crosby. Can you all hear me over that? Okay.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Ms. Stesiano. I need for Miss Hewitt to listen in and stop talking for now, okay? All right, so I want you to hear what's being said, okay? And you can't do that if you're talking to somebody else. All right, I apologize, Ms. Stesiano. Go ahead.
No problem, Your Honor. And just for the defendant's benefit, the state did add a charge for battery family violence, if that's what her question is. The victim in this case is the defendant's roommate. His name is Mr. Larry Crosby. He told police that the defendant pushed him, slapped him, and physically restrained him from leaving the residence. The victim sustained a laceration to his finger as a result of that altercation, and there was a witness to this altercation. One of the victim's friends, Leslie Stevenson, corroborated the victim's statements to police. And Your Honor, based on her open case with the bond violation and her criminal history, the state's requesting a $5,000 surety bond, no contact with Mr. Crosby, another stay away from that same incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. We have not been in touch with Mr. Crosby yet today, if you can sound for him. Thank you.
Larry Crosby is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. All right. Good afternoon, Ms. McLeod. Is this your case?
Your Honor, good afternoon. My client, Ms. Hewitt, she's 47 years old and she has lived in Atlanta pretty much all of her life. She is a mother of 2 minor children, a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. She tells me that this whole incident happened because her phone and a tablet that she had were stolen, and she was the one who called the police because she wanted to report the theft. She believed that it may have been taken by someone who lives at this particular location, and she had called the police to report this. My client doesn't actually live at this address, she tells me. She gave me a different address for where she lives, Your Honor. So while it may be in Godby Road, it is not the identical address to which the state has referred. I believe I heard pretrial state that she was qualified for UJR at level 3. So I would ask the court to consider giving her that, because based on what she tells me, she doesn't have very much income. Nothing further, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, just brief response, Judge Williams, if there's a specific apartment number or something, if that's what Ms. McLeod's referring to, the stay away order that Judge Williams entered in February is 2135 Godby Road. And I'm looking at the warrant right now. It's the same exact address.
Is it
an apartment complex?
Is it an apartment complex?
It's, Your Honor, and my client has given me a specific apartment number, building and apartment number. It's apparently a pretty large apartment complex.
And
Okay.
yes, Your Honor, and my point is that the stay away was from the entire, if there's no apartment number, then it's a stay away from the complex. The 2135 Godby Road, every address that falls under 2135 Godby Road, the defendant was ordered to stay away from in February.
Okay. And she does not live at that apartment complex. Is that correct, Ms. McLeod?
He does not live at that address.
Okay. All right, so for today, for each charge, it's going to be a $1,500 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Larry Crosby. Stay away from the 2135 Godby Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Hewitt.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome. Who do we have next? Okay, you're on mute, Jill. iPhone.
Jamal Campbell.
Okay, he's position number one. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Camel. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008351A with battery family violence. Is there a history?
He has 13 cycles. The last arrest was June the 4th, 2021 in Rockdale County, Georgia, for a DUI. There was no, I'm sorry, I apologize. He does have misdemeanor convictions. There was one in 2022 out of Rockdale County for a DUI, one in 2010 out of Cobb County for simple battery, one in 2008 for miscellaneous. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tessiana?
Yes, Judge, this incident happened on December 18th. Officers responded to 6206 Rockaway Road in South Fulton regarding a dispute. Upon arrival, they made contact with the defendant's wife. Her name is Corlicia Walls. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. She stated that she and her husband were in a verbal dispute that originally started about 3 a.m. that morning when the defendant came home. And then later that morning, about 8 a.m., she was in the shower. The defendant went into Miss Wall's daughter's room, retrieved a phone and a charger. There was an argument over something with the phone. He became upset. She told the police at that time that the defendant walked toward her and slapped her on the right side of her face with the cell phone. At this point, she tries to walk away, and she explained that her husband attempted to attack her, but the daughter got involved and stepped in between them, and the defendant then left the residence soon after. The officers observed swelling to Miss Wall's left eye. We've been in touch with her today. She is denying that the phone ever struck her. She's saying that the daughter called the police because she was scared. Nothing like this has ever happened before. The defendant threw the phone, but it did not hit her. She's denying sustaining any injuries, including the swelling that was observed by the officers. She's not in fear and would like to continue contact. And Your Honor, the state's requesting a 2,000 surety, no further violent contact with Miss Walls, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor is inclined to run it through pretrial, then we would also ask for an anger awareness. And if you can sound for Miss Walls, she's on the line. Thank you.
Ms. Walls, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity. I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
He's never been violent with me. He does yell, and that's what scared my daughter. But he's never struck me ever. Out of all 10 years we've been married, he's never struck me.
Okay, and you're not afraid of him?
No.
You want him back in the household?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Walls.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor, you have heard from the alleged victim. I was able to speak with her as well earlier, Your Honor, and I had not seen the warrant, but she definitely denied that he struck her or anything. She did say, that there's the cell phone that was thrown and her daughter called the police and that she just wanted to have her husband home. They are co-parenting 4 minor children together and have been doing this for a while, Your Honor. So I would ask for a signature bond for my client, conditioned on no further violent contact with Ms. Walls. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Walls, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome.
This is going to be Mr. Collins, Your Honor. Mr. Collins.
Okay, Mr. Collins is position number 3. Good afternoon, Mr. Collins. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008355G with battery. Is there a history?
He has 20 cycles. Last arrest was January the 15th, 2024 in Clayton County for battery family violence. That charge appears to be still pending, Your Honor. He does have misdemeanor sentences. Sworn in 2000, he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2018 out of Richmond County, Georgia, for driving without a valid license. Sworn in 2015 out of Richmond County for driving while license suspended or revoked. Sworn in 2011 out of Milledgeville, Georgia, for theft by shoplifting. He received a nolo contendere sentence in 2011 out of Milledgeville, Georgia, for driving while license suspended or revoked. Sworn in 2008 out of Baldwin County for criminal trespassing. And he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2007 out of Baldwin County for driving while license suspended or revoked. And there was one in 2006 out of Bibb County for a DUI. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Sessiano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place on December 27th. Officers responded to a fight call at the In-Town Suites, room 107. Address of the location is 1375 Northside Drive. The victim in this case is William Greer. He stated that he got into a verbal dispute with the defendant. He came into their room and the defendant was upset about the Christmas gifts he had received and was irate and throwing food everywhere. The victim tried to stop the defendant from throwing the food, and he punched him in the face. The victim was seen to have lacerations and swelling to his face. The officers tried to speak with the defendant to get his side of the story, but he refused to speak with them. We've not been in touch with him yet today. We will continue those efforts. For right now, the state's requesting a $2,000 surety bond, no contact, stay away, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you can sound for Mr. Greer. Thank you.
Mr. William Greer is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Yes, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 37 years old. He denies that he was the primary aggressor in this incident. In fact, he tells me that he has lacerations and his shoulder, he hurt his shoulder. He had to be taken to Grady for treatment and has some obvious injuries even on his face. He does not have any significant history of violence, Your Honor, and this person is not someone that he interacts with. My understanding is that he was a guest at a party, and so was this other person, this Mr. Greer. So they have no reason to be in contact with each other. My client lives in Milledgeville. He does not live in Atlanta. It was just here, he tells me, for this party. So I would ask the court to consider, since pretrial says he's qualified for UJR, to consider UJR for him. Nothing further, Your Honor.
And it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with William Greer. Stay away from the In-Town Suites on Northside Drive. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Collins. You're welcome.
Next is going to be Dontravius Williams.
That's position number 20. Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008352G with theft by taking. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor, he has 31 cycles. The last arrest was October the 1st, 2024 in Fulton County for a probation violation. He does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for possession of tools for commission of a crime. and burglary in the second degree, 2 counts. That case number is 19 SC 173720. That disposition date is July the 17th, 2020. The term is for 7 years. Also, he appears to have an open probation case in DeKalb County for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That disposition date was August the 9th, 2024, and the term is for 4 years. He does have prior felony convictions. One in 2014 out of Tennessee for burglary. One in 2018 for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. One in 2012 out of DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting. And he does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2022 out of Cobb County for simple battery. One in 2019 for theft by shoplifting. He received a no contendere sentence in 2019 for theft by shoplifting. And there's an additional one in 2019 for obstruction of an officer. And he does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 3. Nothing in addition.
Ms. Allen?
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred yesterday at about 3:40 p.m. That's December the 29th at 2323 Piedmont Road Northeast. It was reported by the owner, Brian Layman, Layman, that the defendant had come onto his patio and taken his wood fire grill. The brand is Ninja. Police responded. The defendant was located. He matched the description that had been provided by the victim, and the victim provided surveillance footage that showed the defendant go onto his patio and take the grill. We've been in touch with Mr. Layman today. He'd like no contact. He said he did not get the grill back. He does not know the defendant. He said he also saw the defendant again coming around the location multiple times. So we're asking for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. You just heard that he has a possession of a firearm by a convicted felon that he was just sentenced on out of DeKalb, and he's currently under sentence here in a 19 SC case for a burglary. He's got multiple criminal convictions for theft-related items. Although the theft by taking or theft by receiving, they're not the number required to elevate this to a felony. So we're asking for $1,000 surety, no contact with Mr. Brian Layman, Layman, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and stay away from that location there. Again, that's 2323 Piedmont Road Northeast. And if you'd sound for Mr. Layman. Thank you.
Mr. Layman is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Williams is years old. He is a high school graduate. He is a resident all his life of Georgia. He is aware of the history. He related it to me himself when I met him this morning. He now works at UNFI or Unify. It's UNFI. It's on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. It's a warehouse. He has warehouse experience and loading and unloading trucks experience. That's what he does for a living. He asked the court to set a fair bond, including the notion of a signature bond, if that's possible.
So he has a place to reside, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor. It's 4 digits in the 2200 block of Peachtree, Unit 5. I don't know the name of the complex. He has 2 phone numbers that I haven't tried to verify, but they sounded straightforward.
Okay, I just want to make sure he doesn't need a social worker visit. It's going to be $1,000 good bond, no further contact with Mr. Layman, stay away from his residential address on Piedmont Road, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
No, I never. I didn't say that. He said he was asking. I do talk to a social worker though. So.
Your Honor, he said he does need a social worker.
He does need a social. Okay.
He needs one. He does need one. He needs one.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for letting me know. I'll have Mr. McLean have a social worker visit with him.
I will mark it as such. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have Mr. Lockhart, Zion Lockhart.
Okay. Mr. Lockhart's position number 13. Good afternoon, Mr. Lockhart. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008363A with 2 counts of battery and 1 count of simple battery. Is there a history?
No, sir, not at all.
Your Honor, he does not have any adult arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail, nothing in addition.
Thank you. Salen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred at 1985 Campbellton Road Southwest. Police were called to the location at about 5 p.m. One moment. And there they met with 2 individuals. Initially, the other individual was arrested, but we've submitted a null pros for that case. Her last name is Gill, Gill. Just look very quickly. She's number 6 on the calendar. Mr. Lockhart is number 13. So this is also yesterday at about 5 p.m. That location, 1985 Campbellton Road, is a barbershop where the defendant in front of you works. The call was made by Mrs. Gill. She reported being assaulted in a vehicle in the location. On the scene, police made contact with Mrs. Gill. She said that she got a call from the defendant who asked her to drive him to work. She did that. They were sitting in her vehicle talking and play fighting. Those were her words. And at some point, he became serious and aggressive. He grabbed her hair, ripped her wig off of her head, grabbed her by her neck. She said she thought she was going to pass out. He then bit her on her finger and struck her. She had scratches on her face under her left eye and a visible bite mark on a finger of hers. The victim also reported that the defendant pulled out a firearm while he was in the vehicle. She said he didn't point it at her, but she was afraid. Officers then went inside and spoke to Mr. Lockhart. He said that he was the victim, that Mrs. Gill slapped him. He was seen to have a busted lip. He then denied he had a firearm, but then changed his story and said that the victim was in fact in possession of his firearm. Firearm was actually located on the defendant and it came back stolen. I'm waiting from APD to see if they're going to be taking out warrants for possession of a stolen firearm, Your Honor. As you know, that's a felony, but we don't have warrants for that right now. So both of the people were arrested yesterday, but based on the statements and the evidence and then the inconsistent statement by the defendant in front of you, the case against Mrs. Gill, who drove him there and was reported, she was the 911 caller and reported being assaulted in her vehicle. And then her statements about the gun were deemed true. She is the victim in this case, or her case has been dismissed. Mr. Lockhart does not have any adult arrests. I would note that in March, a police report was made where he also was described as play fighting with another female who also had injuries on her face. Looks like a pattern of behavior to our office, Your Honor, and the presence of a firearm in this case is also concerning. We're asking for a $3,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with Mrs. Gill. And I'll give you her correct spelling of her first name. The location where this happened is his place of business, so we're not asking for a stay away, but no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And Lakeisha is spelled 2 different ways, Lakesha in the police report documents and Lakeshia as well. So no contact with her.
Ms. Gill is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity.
She's in jail, Your Honor. It was a dual arrest.
Oh, so she's okay. I didn't know if they'd
She's being processed, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Any objection to any of what the state has requested, Ms. McLeod?
No objection to any of it, Your Honor. My client wants no contact, and we're okay with the signature bond. My client does deny that he was the aggressor, and I believe the state said that his lip was busted. He explained to me that he was absolutely not the aggressor, that he was attacked.
Okay. For each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Gill. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, which means that any weapons that you have, Mr. Lockhart, they're going to have to be surrendered. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Go D. Next, Your Honor, this is gonna be Mr. Clark.
Okay. Mr. Clark's position number 2. Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008353C with simple battery, family violence, criminal trespass and damage to property, and 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
It's his second arrest, Your Honor. He has an open aggravated assault case in Superior Court 23 CP 22512 with a different victim. This incident took place on, excuse me, yesterday. Officers were dispatched to the Chelsea Garden Apartments, which is 2135 Godby Road, specifically apartment 42556, regarding a domestic dispute. Upon arrival, they met with Shanquita Sinkfield, who has been living at the apartment with the defendant and his wife, Jessica Clark, since July. She advised that the day before this incident, the defendant walked in on her daughter in the bathroom. That led to some sort of dispute over that. That carried over into yesterday. She advised that yesterday the defendant confronted her daughter about the incident. There was some argument. Ms. Sinkfield overheard what was happening. She didn't like the way that the defendant was speaking to her daughter, so she got involved. She intervened. The two started arguing. The defendant's wife, who's Miss Jessica Clark, also intervened and tried to separate them when the defendant grabbed her by the neck and shoved her into the wall, and then turned to Miss Sinkfield and they started fighting. The parties were fighting. They both had injuries. After the fight, the defendant grabbed a hammer and smashed an iPad of Miss Sinkfield's son, initials JS, that he had just received for Christmas a couple days ago. All of this happened in front of Miss Sinkfield's 2 children. The daughter, DS, is 10 years old. The son, JS, is 5 years old. We have not been in touch with his wife, Miss Clark, today, but we have been in touch with Miss Sinkfield. She stated that she is living with them at the incident location. She states that the reason that she got into the physical altercation was because the defendant was trying to attack her son with a hammer. And she said the son had the tablet in his hands that's when the defendant smashed it with the hammer. She stated that the defendant has been violent toward her 5-year-old son in the past, and they currently have an open defects case related to that. She states that she's still at the residence, but she is trying to find somewhere else to move. And she wants no contact and would like for him to stay away until she's able to leave. And Your Honor, given his open case, we're requesting a $5,000 surety bond, I guess $1,000 on each count. No contact with any of the victims in this case, including Miss Sinkfield, and no contact with either of her 2 children. Stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you can sound for Miss Shanquita Smith, she may be on the line, and Miss Jessica Clark.
Okay, Shanquita Sinkfield, is that the last name?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And have you talked to Miss Clark, Miss Desiano?
We have not talked to Miss Clark, just Miss Sinkfield, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Either Miss Sinkfield or Miss Clark are on the line and wish to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Who's representing Mr. Clark?
So I'll represent myself.
No, hold on, Mr. Clark. There should be someone. Mr. McLean, are you with me?
Paul Bartel.
Say it again.
It's supposed to be Paul Bartel.
Oh, Mr. Bartel? I don't see Mr. Bartel on the line here.
So we're gonna have to go to the next case, Your Honor.
Okay, so can we have, someone give Ms. Strong, can you give Mr. Bartel a call to see if he's gonna be joining us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have to come back to Mr. Clark, I'm sorry.
What's your last name? Lewis. Lewis. Who represented Lewis, McLean?
Mr. McLean, did you hear the question? Mr. McLean, are you with me?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Apparently my phone doesn't do audio when I'm dialing out. Thank you.
Jasmine Lewis. Who represented Jasmine Lewis?
I have Jasmine Lewis.
All right, he's next, Your Honor.
Very good.
Is Mr. Lewis, I don't seem to have a Lewis on my calendar.
Your Honor, it was just filed down a
L-E-W-I-S.
few minutes ago.
I apologize, Your Honor. That's an add-on and that's mine.
Okay, so, will someone please give me, since I don't have an add-on calendar, give me the case number and the charge, please?
It's 2 counts of terroristic threats, Your Honor, misdemeanors.
And do you have the number, Miss Allen?
Yes, one moment.
G.
It's 24 CR 008 381H.
And, Mr. Lewis's full name for me?
Jasmine, Jasman. First name, Lewis is the last name.
Okay. So Jasmine is the last name?
That's the first
No,
name.
first name?
Jasman.
Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Lewis. You have been charged in case 24 CR 0083881H with 2 counts of terroristic threats. Is there a history?
He had 3 cycles out of Michigan. The last arrest was December the 27th, 2020, out of Detroit, Michigan for assault. That charge was dismissed. There was no date listed in the GCIC. He has 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2016 out of Michigan for disorderly conduct. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. Nothing.
He's got it somewhere.
I need the numbers when you call.
Oh.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from yesterday, December the 29th at about 7 p.m. Takes place in the area outside of 2 restaurants, a pizzeria and a taco restaurant at 1000 Northside Drive. Police responded to that location to a person armed call. On scene, they spoke with the victim in this case, or one of the victims in this case, Charles Watson. He's an off-duty officer for APD. He reported that he and his group of friends were leaving the taco location, had been in the parking lot talking, when they saw the defendant through the window. He was in the kitchen of the pizzeria restaurant. He started to speak to them and at them. They could not really understand what he was saying. They continued to hang out in the parking lot. The defendant then appeared outside near the dumpster area. He started to make verbal threats to Mr. Watson and his friends in the group. The defendant then stepped inside the area of the kitchen at the pizzeria and right back outside again. He had a firearm in his waistband area. He pulled it out and then proceeded to load the firearm with bullets as he made threats like, "I'm going to shoot your asses," to the people there in the parking lot. Mr. Watson, who again was an off-duty APD officer, backed away with his friends and made a police report. The defendant was located nearby across the street. Initially, he denied being engaged in a verbal altercation with these folks, but then admitted it, and a firearm was located in his possessions. The 2 counts of terroristic threats, Your Honor, are based on the actions of loading the firearm that he went inside and got while he was saying things like, "I'm going to shoot you." And that's specifically to Rayvon Burnside, Rayvon is the first name, and Mr. Charles Watson. We've spoken to Mr. Watson today. He reported what happened. He confirmed the events in the warrants. He reported the defendant had the gun down at his side and said things like, "What's all this shit y'all are talking? I'll shoot you." Completely out of the blue as far as the victim's concerned. And if you'll call for Mr. Watson, sound for him. I believe he's joined us on the Zoom. We're asking for a $10,000 surety, Your Honor. Absolutely no contact with Mr. Watson or Mr. Burnside. Again, that's Rayvon, Rayvon. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Mr. Lewis will need to surrender his firearm. Thank you.
Okay, Officer Watson, I see you on the line. If you or Mr. Burnside would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Can you raise your right hand for me, sir? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. And can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Watson. What would you like to tell the court?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I just want to say that, what was done to us was very uncalled for. Where my family and myself are not provoking people. My sister is also here as well. She was with me. Also, she's not in the warrant here, but she also witnessed this. I go to Pizzeria. That's our favorite pizza spot that we go to all the time. And I don't even want to go back there because I don't know whether or not they're going to hire this individual back. And I just think that he should definitely be held accountable and surrender his guns. Absolutely. Being an off-duty Atlanta police officer, my job is just to protect people. And I had to de-escalate this situation to prevent myself and my family members from being shot that particular day. And that nothing further.
And Officer Watson, what's the name of the location?
It's called Sarpino's Pizza. That's Sarpinos. Sarpino's Pizzeria.
Okay. And are you telling me that Mr. Lewis worked there?
He does. He was on the clock actively working inside of the pizzeria, and he exited the employee entrance to make contact with us.
Just say it.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Officer Watson. I appreciate you being here this afternoon.
Oh, thank you. You're very well.
Yes, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, my client is 29. His uncle's address is at a particular unit number on Jet Street in 30318 zip code. So the 600 block of Jet Street, it's right by, it's pretty close to the church there at Northside and Jet. And that's his uncle, Chris Hardnett, who is a disabled vet. Now, Mr. Lewis himself is not a disabled vet. He's 29. He's got a high school education and a little bit of college. He has worked in the food industry at Taco Bell, Burger King, and apparently now at Sarpino's Pizza as well, or Shapiro's, or whatever, however it's pronounced or spelled. Nothing further, Your Honor. He asked the court to give him as low a bond as possible, including a signature bond if that is possible.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be a $2,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $4,000 good bond. If he is not working at Sarpino's Pizza, he can not go back there. If he continues to work there, I'm not going to stop him from working. He can go back to that location. But if they have fired him or he's no longer working at Sarpino's Pizza, he cannot go back to that location. No further contact with Mr. Watson, Mr. Burnside. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, which means, Mr. Lewis, you're going to have to relinquish all firearms. Good luck to you, sir.
Hey, Stars, 14. This is going to be Stairsy.
Okay.
Judge Morrow, that's another add-on case. I just created the case number for it.
So good afternoon, Mr. Jordan. Can you give me the name, the case number, and the charges, please?
Diaz Searcy, first name is spelled D-I-A-S, last name S-E-A-R-C-Y. That case number is 24 CR 008-374B. She has a battery, family violence, first offense misdemeanor charge with an incident date of 12/27/2024.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Good afternoon, Mr. Searcy. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008-374B with battery, family violence. Is there a history?
No.
Ms. Jackson?
He has 17 cycles. The last arrest was July the 7th, 2021 in Forsyth County, Georgia for a probation violation. He does have prior felony convictions, one in 2018 out of Forsyth County for financial transaction card fraud and identity theft fraud. There's an additional one in 2018 out of Bibb County for criminal attempt to commit a felony. And he received first offender treatment in 2017 out of DeKalb County for possession of cocaine. That case was sealed April the 25th, 2020. He does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2019 out of DeKalb County for unlawful possession of THC oil. One in 2017 out of DeKalb County for obstruction of an officer. One in 2013 out of DeKalb County for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. He appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR level 2. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. And Mr. Carlos, I'm going to allow you to speak at the appropriate time. So if you'll just hang on for me, sir. Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pretrial and the clerk just informed you that there is some history, but it does not look like violent history. This is an incident from December the 27th at about 8:36 p.m. at 5100 Welcome All Road, apartment W1 in South Fulton. The 911 caller was DeCarlos McKenzie. There was a call to police he made about a domestic incident. On scene, police met with Mr. McKenzie, who reported that the defendant got into a dispute when he came home. Mr. McKenzie reported that the defendant came home and appeared to be off or under the influence, that he confronted this gentleman. They're in a relationship, and they argued. Mr. McKenzie reported that he told the defendant that he was going to ask for his phone back and had denied the defendant's request to use his car. This is what made the defendant become angry, and they started to tussle over the phone. Mr. McKenzie was kicked in the face during this tussle. He had scratches or abrasions on his face when police spoke to him. He was able to flee and call 911. It is reported that these individuals are living together. When police made contact with the defendant, he claimed that he'd been assaulted because he was asking his roommate / boyfriend to leave. He reported he had injuries on his arms. Police took him to Grady to be seen. Nurses advised that injuries that looked like bite marks were not fresh, but were older and had not happened that evening. We're asking for a $2,000 surety. There is a extensive criminal history, although it does not include violence. It's mostly drugs and theft. We spoke to the victim today. Again, his name is DeCarlos McKenzie. He reports that he and the defendant are in a relationship and live together there, but that he'd moved out about 3 weeks ago. The location belongs to the defendant and his sister, and she'd been allowing them to stay there. He confirmed what happened, said that he had a busted lip and the scratches on his face, and that this is not the first time that the defendant's been violent, but the first time that he's called the police. The defendant is evidently, based on what security guards are saying to the victim, not allowed back on the property. Nonetheless, the state's asked him for a $2,000 surety bond. We are requesting no contact with DeCarlos McKenzie and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. It would appear that if the location is the home of the defendant's sister and he intends to move back there, and Mr. McKenzie reported he moved out 3 weeks ago, that there should be no stay away order as far as the state's concerned. But of course, we can revisit that if you decide that's appropriate when you sound from Mr. McKenzie. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Hold on, Mr. Cersei. Okay, this is your case, Ms. McLeod?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay, so, Mr. Cersei, let Ms. McLeod speak for you, and if you need to speak with her, I'll let you do that, okay? But right now, you have a right to remain silent, okay? Let me see what Mr. McKenzie, has to say if he wants to address the court. Yes, sir. If you want to address the court, I need for you to raise your right hand for me.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court, Mr. McKenzie?
First and foremost, I want to address that the residence belong to Cersei's sister. And
Okay.
the security guard addressed me that Cersei was not allowed back on the property. So I took Cersei's stuff with me. And I want to say that this whole situation is a misunderstanding. Cersei came to Georgia to see her family for the holidays and to spend time with me. And it got out of hand that day when the police got involved. And I pretty much just want to drop the whole thing. I don't want to pursue it. I don't want to carry on with it because I know that Cersei is going through a lot and she's trying to get her life together. And I've been there for every step of the way. And hopefully I can continue to help her. And I hope that we can just let this go.
All right. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Mr. McKenzie.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. McLeod.
My client is 34 years old, Your Honor. She tells me that she is currently unemployed. She just finished school and is in the process of trying to get a job in the healthcare field, which is where she has her training. The state has said that she has no significant history of any kind of violence, Your Honor. So I would be asking for a UJR for my client. The alleged victim has also spoken and does want to have contact, and my client would prefer the same as well. She tells me that the location belongs to her sister and she's always lived there. Based on what the state is saying, it appears that there might be some kind of stay away order. I don't know, but if there is no stay away order, I would of course like for my client to be able to go back to this location. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further violent contact with Mr. McKenzie. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you.
What was that a bond amount? Was it 3,000 you said?
It was, yes, it is.
3,000.
Your Honor, I guess just for clarification, Mr. McKenzie told the state he wanted no contact. Did he change that statement when he just spoke to the court?
It was my understanding that he wants to drop the whole thing, so I would imagine that he wants contact. But you're still here, Mr. McKenzie. Do you want contact or not?
Yes, I would like to.
So what happened between when you spoke to our advocate and now?
And that's
just a difference. There's no judgment. I'm just wondering what happened.
Oh, I told her that morning that I wanted to drop the whole thing. It was a misunderstanding. And she said that it's up to the DA whether to keep on with the charges. And I told her I just want to drop it because I know that Cersei's going through a lot and she's a good person. And at that time, we just had a misunderstanding and it got carried out of hand.
Okay. So maybe you spoke to multiple people today, but that is not what Mr. McKenzie spoke to our office about today, Your Honor. So that's the only reason I'm asking. We still believe that no contact is appropriate, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Love you. Next.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is that it, Your Honor?
Yes, that was it for Miss Cersei. You have somebody else for me?
Yeah, I got a lot of people for you. Is Paul Bartel on?
Yes, I think Mr. Bartels is on now. You want to go back to that one?
Your Honor?
Yeah, Mr. Clark.
Your Honor?
Yes,
This is
Officer
Milton. FYI, Mr. Bartel client, Miss Landis, position number 12, she had to be escorted back.
Okay, so Miss Landis, position
She was
number 12.
Yes, she was already interviewed, and I had a situation here with her, and I had to call reinforcement to come take her back.
Okay, so we'll restart her for tomorrow.
She was interviewed already.
Well, if she hasn't waived her appearance, then I can't proceed with her
Yeah.
case today. You tell me, Mr. Bartels. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Yeah, I've interviewed Ms. Landers, and also I'm sorry for being a bit late, but I'm here in the office. I have no internet and no landline, so I'm having to do this on my cell phone.
Okay,
So I apologize for being late to the party. Sorry, I'm late to the party, Your Honor.
No problem, Mr. Bartels. It seems like everybody's having problems today, so we're just happy to have you here. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. I did speak with Ms. Landers. I have not been able to determine whether she would waive her presence. So unfortunately, I can't do that.
Okay, so we'll have to reset her until tomorrow, 12:31.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't see any other option if she can't be brought out.
Okay. And we will also, I believe yours is also position numbered. Were we on Clark? That was Mr. Bartels?
Yes.
Okay, do we have?
Yes, I don't have a calendar because my email is not working.
Okay, so
but I can address Mr. Clark.
Okay, so I've already addressed Mr. Clark. We didn't realize that he was your client before we got through pretty much everything. But Ms. Desiano, if you would mind going back through it for me. Or for Mr.
Sure, Your Honor.
Bartels.
It's his second arrest. He has an open aggravated assault case, 23 CP 22512, involving a different victim. This case happened yesterday at the Chelsea Garden Apartments, 2135 Godby Road, regarding a dispute, specifically apartment 42-556. The victims in this case, there are multiple. There's the defendant's wife, whose name is Jessica Clark, and there is a woman named Miss Shanquita Sinkfield, who is living with the defendant and his wife at the apartment. The police originally spoke with Miss Sinkfield. She stated that she's lived there since July. There was a dispute the day before involving the defendant walking in on her minor child using the bathroom. There was an argument on the incident date, the 29th, where the defendant confronted the daughter about the incident. He was upset. Ms. Sinkfield overheard the argument and did not like the way the defendant was speaking to her child and intervened, which then led to Ms. Sinkfield and the defendant arguing. The defendant's wife, at one point, Ms. Clark, intervened and tried to separate Ms. Sinkfield and the defendant grabbed his wife by the neck and shoved her into the wall, and then turned to Ms. Sinkfield and attacked her. The parties were fighting. They both had injuries. After the fight, the warrant states the defendant grabbed a hammer and smashed an iPad that Ms. Sinkfield's son, initials JS, had just gotten for Christmas. This entire thing happened in front of Ms. Sinkfield's two children, initials DS, that's the daughter who's 10, and JS, the son who's 5. We have not been in touch with Ms. Clark today, the defendant's wife. We have been in touch with Ms. Sinkfield. She gave us a little more information. She states that she's been living at the incident location. She did confirm the events in the warrant, but stated that the reason that she got into the physical altercation was because the defendant was trying to attack her son with a hammer. She said that her son had the tablet in his hands when the defendant smashed it with a hammer. The defendant has been violent towards her son in the past. They currently have an open DFAX case. She stated that she's still at the residence. She's trying to find a new place to go, but in the meantime would like no contact and wants him to stay away until she has an opportunity to move out. We're requesting a $5,000 surety bond. That's $1,000 on each count. No contact with Ms. Clark or Ms. Sinkfield or her two children. Stay away from the incident location. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. I believe the court already sounded for the victims, Your Honor. They were not on the line. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Bartels.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. I have spoken with Mr. Clark about this case. He does deny the allegations. He indicated that he was a target by an attack from Ms. Sinkfield, but understands that this is not an evidentiary hearing. But he does deny the allegations or that he was the primary aggressor. I haven't been able to reach any of the complaining witnesses, but I can tell the court that Mr. Clark indicates he's 30 years old. He has lived in Atlanta all of his life. He has a number of relatives in the metro Atlanta area, including his mother and his brother and his sister. He's also employed full-time at Hexagon Security. He works at the Art Center Tower in Midtown. That's a full-time job. So he is employed. He's a lifelong Atlanta resident. He does have ties to the community. And we would ask the court to consider a $3,500 total bond. That would be $1,000 each on the simple battery and battery, and then $500 each on the remaining 3 charges. And that's all for now, Your Honor.
Okay. For the battery, it'll be $1,000 good bond. For each of the other 4 charges, it will be a $250 good bond per charge. That makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Sinkfield or Ms. Clark. Stay away from the incident location. You can go back to that location on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings.
He does have some
alcohol, weapons. Hold on. Okay. All right, and if nothing further, good luck to you, Mr. Croft.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Welcome.
Your Honor,
Yes.
can we please do the position 14 Madison and position 16 Ms. Sheep? They're both McLean's clients.
Okay, so this is
We're
Miss
back.
Madison. This is Miss Madison that I have in front of me.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, good afternoon, Miss Madison. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008364F with criminal trespass and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Do we know if there's a history, Miss Allen?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant is a felon and has history out of Michigan and South Carolina. It appears that here in Georgia, she just pled to shoplifting in July 24 CR 006820. And that's it. Mostly disorderly convictions, obstruction convictions.
Yep.
This is an incident that occurred on the 27th of December. Police were called to 150 10th Street Northeast. That's the 10th and Juniper high rise. There they met with the manager who reported that the defendant was in Unit 808, had been criminally trespassed from the location on 2 different occasions prior, and was able to provide documentation to police, specifically on January the 15th, 2024, and then December the 11th, 2023. She'd been asked to leave on the 26th, and then when maintenance went to Unit 808, the door was locked and the defendant was inside. They were trying to prepare that unit for someone who was moving in. It's vacant, and she had no reason, no permission, was not supposed to be at the location. It should have been empty. The defendant allowed people inside. Once she unlocked the door, she claimed that her cousin had allowed her to stay there so she could have somewhere to sleep. Then, it was discovered, and they spoke with her about the fact that she'd been trespassed multiple times. When police went to arrest her, she became belligerent. She pulled her arms away, and then she started to slap and smack her head against a window. She had to be taken to the ground in order to be put into custody safely. So there's a criminal trespass and an obstruction charge here, Your Honor. We're asking for a $2,000 surety. The defendant is listed as homeless and has a significant history of similar types of interactions out of to other states besides Georgia. We'd asked for a BHET. I would note that the conviction that she just pled to in July required as part of the disposition a social worker visit and I believe a BHET.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Ms. Jackson, what is the recommendation of pretrial? I think she's frozen. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 35 years old. She uses the 201 Washington Street program as her mailing address. The name is pretty darn good at being a solid mail address. She physically helped these with hers in the Imperial, and another program apparently that is allowed. So with this case, she says there was some confusion. She is aware of the Greenville, South Carolina matter that's a pending matter of disorderly conduct and whatnot. So she won't, I reminded her, don't forget about the South Carolina case. The public safety assessment indicated she had no prior violent convictions. That's a good thing. She had one FTA apparently, and not too bad. She's worked her jobs, Your Honor, at the Braves Stadium, cleaning up the locker rooms. She's in the process of going back to the temp service to get another job similar to that, if that job's not available. But it's not baseball season right now. So she asks Your Honor to set a bond as low as possible, including the possibility of a signature bond, if that's possible. But if not, something that she could possibly make with the help of her friend, Mr. Anderson.
Ms. Jackson, can you hear me now?
So level 3, Your Honor.
Okay, that's my
Can you hear me?
question. Yeah, I got you. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. All right. For each charge, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, which makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. A social worker visit to determine if she has not had a BHET and she has been ordered to have a BHET, that we need to go ahead and get that accomplished. Stay away from the Juniper high rise and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. So, Ms. Madison, I'm going to let you out, but you're going to have to make sure that you stay in touch with the court and come back to every court appearance. Otherwise, they're going to put a warrant out for you. You cannot go back to that Juniper high rise again. If they catch you there again and arrest you, I'm not going to give you a signature bond next time. Okay. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Come on, Rich. Have a seat. Sit right here. Position 16, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Schiff. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0083666A with driving while your license was suspended or revoked. Is there a history? Not sure if Ms. Jackson.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't hear the name.
Position 16.
I have to have a name, Your Honor. I don't have a calendar.
Aaron Chandler Schiff.
Aaron what now?
Your last name is SCHIEF.
Just a moment, please.
Your Honor, my information shows a DUI arrest that was a plea to reckless driving in 2022 in Cobb, revocation of a license December of 2023, as well as suspension for that reckless driving prior to that. That's all the information I have about criminal history.
Okay.
This is an incident from the 28th at about 9:40 in the morning. Police in Johns Creek encountered the defendant at the intersection of Jaymont Boulevard and Brumbelow Road, where she made an admission to driving her vehicle from her residence to that location, knowingly, without a license. And she was arrested. We're asking for, I think she came in with a $1,500 bond, Your Honor. We think that that makes sense based on the period of time this individual has not had a driver's license and is just driving in the world, and just a requirement that she not drive unless she's licensed.
Okay, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client, Ms. Schiff, is 48 years old. She is a homemaker with a child at home. That is her job, is being a homemaker. She's a graduate of Georgia Southern University in Statesboro, Georgia. She has no violent prior convictions. She has no FDAs. She lives on Jaymont Circle, which I take it must probably be very close to where she was arrested with that admission, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond under these circumstances. Of course, her mail is very stable. The only reason her private attorney didn't appear on Zoom today was that we didn't have time to get hold of her. Thank you.
All right, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No driving without a valid license. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. I got you. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're
May I get
welcome.
excuse, please?
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, maybe. Who do we have next? Norris?
Sit down. Give me 1 second, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
What's your name? Yarn. Yarn, this is Mr. Yarn.
Okay. Mr. Yarn is position number 21. Charged in case, good afternoon, Mr. Yarn. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008370E with criminal trespass and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history?
Jackson. Ms. Jackson.
Your Honor, I didn't get the cycles. That's when the system went down, but I have the last arrest. It was July the 9th, 2024 in DeKalb County with theft by shoplifting. He does appear to be on probation in DeKalb County with theft by shoplifting and theft by taking. That case, I apologize here, that case appeared to be open and pending, Your Honor. Nothing in addition. And I'm sorry, he appeared to meet the criteria for UJR level 3.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Your Honor, this is a case from yesterday, the 29th, at about 4:06 p.m. at 515 Garson Drive. That's Garson. These are where there are wayside tracks adjacent to MARTA tracks. The documents we have report that the rail control there for MARTA said that the defendant had been seen going north inside these wayside gates, which are clearly marked no entry, and was walking north adjacent to the MARTA tracks. Rail control officers had to actually access that high rail area, which is dangerous, in order to get to the defendant. Officer Marshall made contact with the defendant, who refused to comply with orders. He refused to offer his hands when being told he was being placed under arrest, and he had to be taken to the ground. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, social worker visit, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to stay away from MARTA. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, we agree that a social worker visit would be advisable to see whether any further services are needed. He is residentially challenged. He is 45 years old. He has an 8th grade education here in Georgia. He's lived in Georgia all his life. He's unemployed at the moment, but is willing to, so he needs advice from social workers about where to go to temporary agencies, where to go to the Georgia Department of Labor, labor boards. I understand, however, he does have said that he had a hold, and I didn't have the ability to find out what the hold was. But we would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible in this situation, Your Honor, possibly even including a signature bond, if possible. Thank you.
All right, for today, it's gonna be a $500 good bond on each charge, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. I want him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing or whatever else that he needs. On that, if he does not make bond by the SAP calendar, I'll reconsider it at that time. But Mr. McLean, if you can see what services he needs at the present time, it would be helpful. Stay away from MARTA. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, Mr. Yarn.
You done it. All right. $1,000 a month. Next is Mr. Mays, Chauncey Mays.
Hey, I'm doing well, Mr. Mays. Let's see. Mr. Mays, you have been charged in case 24 CR 008365C with simple battery family violence. Ms. Jackson there with you?
Yes, Your
Yes.
Honor. He had 5 cycles. The last arrest was June the 11th, 2024 in Fulton County for driving while license suspended. That charge was dismissed on July the 9th, 2024. He does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Farmington Hills, Michigan for a traffic offense. The date on that warrant was February the 17th, 2022. And he has 1 felony conviction in 2023 out of Cobb County for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 1. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 27th of December. Police were called to 880 West Peachtree Street. There they met with the victim. Her name is Zane White, Z-H-A-N-E, White, common spelling. Police were called to that location on a fight. She's the person who called police. She reported that her boyfriend had taken a bag of trash out of the trash can. He was upset with her because she moved it. He took the trash out of the trash can and dumped it over her head. She was seen to have debris and dust all over her head and shoulders and face. The victim also reported that there'd been a prior incident where she'd made a police report just within the last few days because the defendant had smashed a TV of hers against the wall, damaging it, and that there'd been witnesses. I did pull that police report and corroborated that she did make it. We have been in touch with her today. Her name again is Ms. Zane White. I believe she's on Zoom. She reports that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship, but we're living at the location. She's in the process of moving out, so there won't need to be a stay away order if she has vacated, but she would like no contact. She reports that this is not the first time that there's been violence. We would ask for $1,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor, no contact with Ms. White and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And we'd ask for clarification that she's gone and her intention was to move out. And I'm not sure she's left yet. So if you could sound for her, maybe we could get some clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. White, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera, unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay, Ms. White, of you, of course, do not have to address the court, but if you would like to, now is the opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Mays is 29 years old. He has lived in Georgia since he was in the 7th grade, so practically all his life. Certainly his adult life, all of it. He has some college, 2 years worth. Not that that's an associate's degree, but he's halfway through the 4-year program that he started, and we'll get back to it. I noted from the PSA that he didn't have any prior violent convictions, although I did hear what the state said about Ms. White's allegations about prior matters, but I'll simply point out that there aren't any prior violent convictions. Maybe this is all new stuff. Hope it's not true at all. He has no FTAs. He worked for a company for the last 2 years. And before that, he was doing Uber and Lyft. That's objection to the 1K SOB.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. White. he can go back to the Peachtree Street address with law enforcement. If Ms. Flight is no longer residing there, he of course can stay. If she is still there, he'll have to gather his belongings and find somewhere else to stay until she moves out. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Mays.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, I don't have a calendar, but I want to know if we have a Mr. Sutton. Sutton, is he on the calendar?
I believe he is, yes. Jermaine Sutton, position number 17.
Okay, he's gonna need to be interviewed by Mr. McLean at the end of the calendar.
Okay. And
All right,
and we
next we're gonna
also we've also had Miss Chansey on here, so I'm not sure
Yeah,
who she's for.
we're gonna have to do a break. We're gonna have to do a breakup with that one too, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
just to let everybody know, I'll be representing Mr. De La Cruz. So I'll need to speak with him with the interpreter when that's possible.
Okay. Thank you,
Both
Mr.
of those
McLean.
cases are gonna have to be at the end of the calendar.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Next will be Mr. Sherrod Johnson. Good morning, Judge.
Yes, good afternoon. And this is, what's your last name,
Johnson.
sir?
Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. Okay, good afternoon. Mr. Johnson, let's see. Mr. Johnson, you have been charged in case 24 CR 008361J with 2 counts of terroristic threats and acts. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 11 cycles. The last arrest was August the 31st, 2023 in Alpharetta, Georgia, for entering an automobile with the intent to commit a theft or felony. That charge was dismissed on December the 19th, 2024. He does have felony convictions. One in 2007 out of Florida for carrying a concealed weapon and altering the identification on a weapon. He does have misdemeanor convictions. This one in 2023, he received a no contendere sentence out of Alpharetta, Georgia, for possession of a marijuana less than an ounce. One in 2014 out of Florida for possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and loitering or prowling. This one in 2008 out of Florida for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR and level 2. Nothing in addition.
Yes, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place back in January, on January 27th at the senior living facility located at 25 Glen Oak Parkway in Sandy Springs. In candor, Your Honor, state doesn't have a lot of information about this one yet. The warrant states that the defendant threatened a Miss Kenyatta Stone at the location, saying that he was going to shoot up the senior living facility and blow it up. Threats were made in the presence of multiple witnesses who provided those statements to police. We've not been in touch with Ms. Stone today. The state's requesting $1,000 surety. No contact with Ms. Stone. Stay away from the senior living facility. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you can sound for her, thank you.
Ms. Kenyatta Stone is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Mr. McLean, is this your case?
It's my case, Your Honor.
Mr. Bartels? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I've spoken with Mr. Johnson. As the state indicated, there's not a whole lot of information to go on here. It appears the date of the alleged incident was January 27th, 2024, so it's almost a year ago. Mr. Johnson says, quite frankly, that he is mystified as to why he's charged with this. He certainly doesn't recall going to an assisted living facility or Sandy Springs and threatening anybody. That's why he told me. So we're not sure why he's been identified as the person that allegedly did this, but he has lived in the metro Atlanta area for 4 years. I am told he lives with his aunt in Decatur. He said he normally doesn't go up to Sandy Springs, but he was working on the Howell Mill Road Chipotle restaurant. He did lose that job, but he's looking for another one. He does have other relatives in the community, so he's got ties to the community. And given the allegations and the period of time that has passed since the date in the warrant, we would either ask that he get a UJR, Your Honor, or if the court's not inclined, to get a very low bond. And that's all for now.
Okay, for each count, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Kenyatta Stone. Stay away from the Glen Oak Parkway address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Johnson. You're welcome.
You don't pay the money when you go home. Sorry. Okay.
Jeremy Hayes.
Your Honor,
Okay.
this is Mr. Jeremy Hayes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Hayes. You've been charged in case 24CR008357H with simple battery family violence. Ms. Jackson, is there a history?
Judge, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing, none of this.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Desiano.
Yes, Judge, this incident happened on December 28th. Officers were dispatched to 5724 Sable Way for a dispute there. The victim in this case is the defendant's partner. They also live together. His name is Rodney Wright. Officers spoke with the defendant. He initially stated that there was a verbal dispute with the victim. There was nothing physical. He also spoke to the police about wanting the victim out of the house. The police explained that he can't just kick him out. You have to go through the eviction process. Spoke with the victim as well, who stated that they were out partying with friends. The victim wanted to leave and come home. The defendant did not. There was an argument about that. When they got home, the argument continued and the defendant kicked the victim's phone out of his hand. And at that point, the parties started fighting and the defendant slammed the victim's head into their bathroom mirror, shattering it.
Desiano, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Desiano. I think that the iPhone has dropped off.
Okay, I'm
So I
sorry.
want to make sure that, no, it's not, I'm just want to make sure that everybody can hear you. I don't think they're with us. So let's give,
They're coming back in now, Judge.
okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Strong.
I'm sorry,
I was able to.
We're back.
Okay, very good. All right, I don't know.
Norris,
I'm not
what's the
sure
last
where
thing
we-
that y'all heard? Do you remember?
The address.
The address.
Okay. Officers responded to the address, Your Honor. The victim in this case is the defendant's partner. His name is Rodney Wright. Officers spoke with the defendant. He initially said there was no physical altercation. It was just a verbal dispute. He spoke to police about having the victim evicted or kicked out. The police were talking to him about that. That's all he really said about the incident. The officers then spoke with the victim, who stated that they were out partying with friends initially earlier that night. The victim wanted to leave. The defendant did not. There was an argument about that. When they got home, the argument continued and the defendant kicked the victim's cell phone out of his hand, which then triggered the parties to start fighting. The warrant describes it as wrestling. The defendant, during this fight, slammed the victim's head into their bathroom mirror, shattering it. And although the victim did not have any visible injuries, the police did notice that he had mirrored glass in his hair. We have been in touch with the victim today, Mr. Wright. He states that the parties are in a relationship and they do live together at the incident location. He did confirm the events in the warrant. He did say he was not injured during this incident. Nothing like this has happened before. He believes that the reason it occurred was because they were both intoxicated. He's not in fear and would like to continue contact and would like the defendant to return to the residence. Your Honor, we have this as his first arrest, so the state's requesting a signature bond through pretrial, no violent contact with the victim, anger awareness course, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you could sound for Mr. Wright. Thank you.
Mr. Rodney Wright, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I need for you to activate your camera, unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in. All right. So if you could unmute yourself, Mr. Wright, for me.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, and raise your right hand for me. Is that your right hand?
All right.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, yes, sir. You can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I would just like to say this is an isolated situation. He doesn't have a violent history. I'd like to be in contact. And actually, I would like to drop the charges.
Has this ever happened before?
No,
And are you afraid of him?
no,
All right, and you both live at the Sable Way address?
we do.
Okay, all right. I appreciate you being here this afternoon, Mr. Wright. Thank you. Mr. Bartels?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I would just concur with the state's recommendation. We would ask for a UJR for Mr. Haynes with a no further violent contact requirement. He does advise me this is his first arrest, Your Honor, and that he's 30 years old. I'm told that he's lived in the Atlanta area for approximately 7 years. He works full-time for Lexus Toyota Financial as a credit analyst. So that's what we would ask the court for, and nothing further right now.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Mr. Wright, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Haynes.
Your Honor, what was that bond amount again?
$2,000 signature bond through pretrial.
2,000 SOB through pretrial.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah,
What level, Your Honor?
level 1.
1. Next is going to be Mr. Hyatt.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Hyatt. This is position number 10 on our calendar. You have been charged in case 24 CR 0083660C with simple battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 2 cycles. The last arrest was November the 4th, 2018 out of California for DUI. He does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2018 out of California for a DUI and driving without a license. So an additional one in 2018 out of California for battery. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Stesiana?
Yes, Judge, this incident took place on December 28th at the Ascent Midtown Apartments, which is located at 1400 West Peachtree Street. The concierge at the location is the victim in this case, Takira Walker. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Takyyrra. She advised that she was assaulted by one of the residents at the location while working in the lobby there. The defendant apparently had locked himself out of his apartment, and he went to the lobby for assistance and made contact with the victim. The victim told him that he could either use an app on his phone to unlock his door, or he would have to wait for the leasing office to open the following day to get another key. The defendant was belligerent and did not want to use the app. He wouldn't cooperate with her, and he took a book off the bookshelf in the lobby there, walked toward her, and violently threw it at her head, striking her. The victim did not have any visible injury, but she did tell officers that she suffered bad headaches from the incident. There was surveillance footage that was also given to police. The officers did speak with the defendant. He told the officers that the victim was lying and that he couldn't use the app she was talking about because his phone was dead. And he claimed that he videotaped the altercation, but refused to show it to police and said that he sent it to his lawyers instead. We have been in touch with the victim today. She states that she is still a concierge at this location. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that she has heard from many of her coworkers that this defendant in particular is an issue there. This is the first time that she's ever had an encounter with him. She states that she is in the process of trying to get switched to work at a different location, but she has not heard back from her manager as of yet. And since this happened so recently, that may take some time, but she does want no contact with the defendant. And I think she's on the line, Your Honor. He has a prior conviction, Your Honor, for battery out of California. We're requesting a 1,500 surety bond, no contact with the victim, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. If you're inclined to order an SOB, then we would also request the 2-day anger awareness. And if you could sound for Ms. Walker.
Yes, if Ms. Takira Walker would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You certainly don't have to, but if you would like to, I'll need for you to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay, doesn't appear that she wishes to address the court. Yes, Mr. Bartels.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I have spoken with Mr. Hyatt. He does deny the allegation. He indicated to me that he had video footage of the interaction, but that his phone was taken by the police before he could process that. But I'd advised him that that could be an issue when the case, if it does go to trial, or when that time comes. He has been in the Atlanta metro area for about 4 years, I'm told. He is employed full-time with CarMax, I'm told, in the IT department. He's been doing that for 3.5 years. And again, he does deny the allegations. We would ask, if the court is inclined for no further contact with Ms. Walker, we would ask that if Ms. Walker is transferred somewhere, that he still be able to live at this address as long as there is no contact with her. If she is not transferred, he did indicate to me that he would be able to find another place to stay during the pendency of this case, but we would ask that he be able to return one time with police to get his personal possessions from the apartment. Based on his history, we would ask the court to give him a UJR with the conditions that the state asked for. We would not object to any of those. Or if the court is not inclined, that he be given a very low bond. That's it for now.
Okay. One-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Walker, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, which means, Mr. Hyatt, that if Ms. Walker is around the apartment, if she's not transferred and she's around the apartment complex, you're going to have to either go in a different way, but you're not to have any contact with her whatsoever while she is with that apartment complex.
And what's the bond amount on that, Your Honor?
A $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1.
2,000 signature bond.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Level 1. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome.
The last two that I have, one needs to be interviewed by McLean, and the other one needs to be interviewed by Bartel with the Spanish interpreter.
With the interpreter, yeah.
Which one
Would
do you
you
want first, Your Honor?
Which one is closer, Norris?
They both right here. I can do Sutton. I believe that's going to take maybe 3 minutes, and then we can do the Spanish interpreter.
Okay. So why don't we?
It's up to you, Your Honor. I mean, it's really up to you, sir.
It makes me no difference. Why don't we just go ahead and do it the way that you suggested? Thank you, Norris. You make my life easier. I
got you.
All right,
What
so
about position 5, Your Honor, Tripoli Freeman?
I didn't know he was on. I didn't know. We're gonna have to go get Tripoli. He's actually in medical though. I'm gonna see if we might not be able to, because he's on an SOS. So
He may have been on first appearance on felony. Do you have any idea what his bond was at felony?
I have no idea. I'm sorry, I have no idea. Okay. But he's in medical, and I know he's on SOS. And I'm gonna try to see if we can get him. If not, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay. So you've got, who do you have there?
I have Mr. Sutton and De La Cruz.
Okay, so let's do Sutton first. So Mr. McLean, we'll place you into a breakout room with Jermaine Sutton, position number 17. And Ms. Chancey, we'll get to you next. Thank you for your patience this afternoon. I appreciate it. All right, so if we can go ahead and put Jill, iPhone, and Mr. McLean into a breakout room, and the rest of us will be in recess until they return. Ms. Desiano, are you with me here, or Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Someone is asking about a Vincent Gadsden. I don't have the Gadsden on my calendar. Do you know who this, have you all, you know who this person is?
I do not have a Gatson on our list, I don't think.
Okay.
Just double check.
I don't either.
All right, Mr. Lex, are you with me, or Ms. Lex?
Your date of birth would help.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you were asking about a Vincent Gadsden. We don't have a Gadsden on our calendar. Was he charged with a misdemeanor, do you know, or how did you get this link?
I got this link. He was arrested on Saturday, and he said he was supposed to be in court. It was, I thought, for 12, but when I came up to the jail, they gave me the link for this meeting at 2:00. But I still haven't heard from him, so I don't know what's going on.
Your Honor, it looks like he had a felony case, 24 PI 9480, so he would have been on first appearance at 11:30 this morning.
Okay, so this is our state court, Ms. Lex, so he would have been at Superior Court. So you might want to call and check with the jail.
The phones aren't working for the jail.
Oh, okay. We're having some trouble, as you can see from our Zoom this afternoon.
Your Honor, you want to go straight to the
Yes.
interpreter, or you
Oh.
want to go do the case first?
Why don't we just do Mr. Sutton so you can put him so we can just get him done.
Okay. Mr. Sutton.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, yes, good afternoon, Mr. Sutton. Let me make sure your attorney's back with us.
He just went off.
All right, so here we go. Good afternoon, Mr. Sutton.
Good afternoon, sir. Just got finished pulling back.
You have been charged in case 24 CR 008367E with 4 counts of simple battery family violence. Ms. Jackson's there with you. Ms. Jackson, is there a history?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. He had 30 cycles. The last arrest was June 17th, 2024 in Baldwin County, Georgia, for a probation violation. He does appear to have an open case pending in Fulton County for 2 counts of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon in criminal trespassing. That case number is 24 SC 002535. He appears to have an additional open case pending in Fulton County for the sale of cocaine and possession of meth and obstruction of an officer and possession of Schedule I controlled substance and possession of Schedule I controlled substance with the intent to distribute. The case number is 24 SC 002579. Also, he appears to be on probation in Fulton County for aggravated assault. That disposition date was October the 13th, 2021. 2 years of confinement, 8 years of probation. The case number is 19 NC 171408. He does have misdemeanor convictions and sentences. One in 2000, he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2023 out of Baldwin County for giving false information to an officer and driving while license suspended or revoked. That year was 2023, Your Honor. And there was one in 2014 out of DeKalb County for the violation of a family violence order and criminal trespassing. And there was one in 2012 for simple assault and battery. He does appear to meet the criteria. I apologize, I did not give you the prior felony convictions. It's one in 2015 for entering an automobile in aggravated battery, and one in 2005 for aggravated assault. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred in October on the 29th. So there's been an outstanding warrant for a period of time. The victim in this case is a woman that this defendant shares a child with, as well as her son. Her name is Tynesha Goodwin. Her son's name is Nazir Goodwin. And I believe that child is also the son of this defendant. At 7:30
I
p.m.
got two sons by her.
Now, hold on, Mr. Sutton. Okay, I appreciate it, but let Miss Allen speak, and Mr. McLean will speak on your behalf, okay? Thank you, sir. Yes, Miss Allen.
At 7:30 p.m., police were called to 2042 Sylvan Road Southwest, where they met with the victim. She was there with her son and reported that during an argument, the defendant struck her in the face multiple times with his fist. Her son tried to intervene. He also spit on her. Her son, Nazir, who she shares with the defendant, was pushed and shoved by the defendant and then spit on as well. She ID'd the defendant because they're in a long-term relationship. They share children together, and she positively gave him information, police information about his identity. Warrants were obtained. I would note that the substantial criminal history you just heard, all of the aggravated assaults, Your Honor, are domestic violence in nature to the majority. False imprisonment in 2005 was originally charged with an aggravated assault. He pled down to false imprisonment and family violence battery against Kimberly Bussey. In 2012, aggravated assault pled down to simple assault and battery family violence against Ashley Moats and Angelina Jackson. 2013, aggravated battery against Angelina Jackson and Shaquila Dougie. 14 SC, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against Andrea Johnson. 19 SC, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against Tyrone Goodwin, same last name as our victim, and Carol Blair. That's the 19 SC case that he's still actively on probation for, and there's a probation violation that he was booked in with today as well. And then you heard about the two open cases that include an aggravated assault family violence from 24, that's from January of this year. We have not been in touch with the victim. We tried to call her today, but have not been successful, just based on the facts as alleged in the documents here and the substantial criminal history. I'm not sure how somebody with this kind of history can be eligible for any pretrial level anything. We would be asking for $8,000 cash bond, Your Honor. Absolutely no contact with Nazir Goodwin or Tynesha Goodwin, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm not sure how you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different. I'm not sure why the host keeps muting me. I am making an argument.
Then they dropped, well, she talking about May 7th.
I'll just
Mr.
reiterate. If you would call for the victim, Mrs. Goodwin, thank you.
Okay, are we settled down there, Norris?
Yeah, we're settled down. I can mute it. I'll mute
All
it.
right. No, I just want to make sure that that's fine as long as he's settled.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Miss Allen. And if Miss Tanisha Goodwin's on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. I don't seem to see her. Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, Mr. Sutton is 40 years old. He lives on Osborne. He gets his mail. He gets good, solid mail service through his mother's address on Osborne Street, I should say. Sorry. He has an 11th grade education, but he's also completed his GED. So he did follow through on that, Your Honor. His job is at True Light, work on glass. They replace glass, fix glass. And I noticed that one of those cases that was from 2021, it must have been right after that. He's been working at True Light, doing the glass work since approximately 2022. So a couple of years there. So we have two good phone numbers. He's from Georgia all his life. He's familiar with his record. And we would ask the court to consider as low as possible. Our main argument, our main emphasis would simply be that thank goodness he's charged with simple battery, and so the injuries are not things that would leave a mark, and that would be something that is an emphasis for arguing for a signature bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, it's gonna be $1,000 good bond per charge, makes for a total of a $4,000 good bond. No further contact with Nazir or Tanisha Goodwin. Stay away from the Sylvan Road address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement if necessary to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Sutton.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, we ready for the next breakout room?
Yep.
Okay, so Ms. Chansey, are you with me? And Mr. Bartels?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready.
All right, so we'll place you all into a breakout room now.
Okay.
Roll 14.
And I see that we have position number 8, Horton. Are we hearing that case today? Do we know? We also have position 18, a Rose Turner that we haven't heard.
Rose Turner's ready, right?
Okay, well, I'm just
Those are-
saying that,
Those are both mine.
okay. All right, well, I'll ask Norris when he gets back. All right, thank you all. We'll be in recess. Okay, so, Ms. Chancellor, if you can raise your right hand for me, please.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that you will translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. De La Cruz. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008356A with criminal trespass and damage to property.
Buenas tardes, señor de la Cruz. Usted ha sido acusado en el caso 24 CR 008356A por allanamiento de morada y también allanamiento de morada con daño a la propiedad.
Ms. Jackson, are you with us?
Señora Jackson,
Is there a history?
¿hay antecedentes?
You're on mute there.
Can you hear me now, Your Honor?
I can, thank you.
All right. He has 4 cycles. The last arrest was May the 21st, 2024 in Roswell, Georgia, for burglary and criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree. That charge was dismissed on June the 13th, 2024.
Thank you. One second, please. Sí, su señoría, él tiene procesos. El último fue en el 2024, que fue el 21 de mayo en Roswell, Georgia, por allanamiento de morada con intención ilícita y por daño ilegal a la propiedad en el 2º grado. Ese cargo fue desestimado en junio, el 13 de junio del 2024. Thank you, ma'am.
He has 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2024 in Alpharetta, Georgia, for theft by shoplifting. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR at level 2.
Él tiene una convicción, una sentencia por delito menor que ocurrió en el 2024 en Alpharetta, Georgia, por robo de tienda y parece cumplir los requisitos para recibir libertad sin fianza judicial a través de la cárcel.
Pero todo eso lo que están diciendo yo estuve encerrado.
All that you are saying is because that's why I am in jail.
Eso yo lo pagué encerrado en la cárcel. 3
I
meses
paid
en la
for
cárcel
that
estuve
when I
encerrado.
was in jail.
Yeah. Could you advise him,
encerrado.
Ms. Chancellor, could you advise him that I'm advising him not to speak?
Por favor, me están pidiendo su abogado que le está él recomendando que no hable.
Especiano?
Yes, Your Honor. In addition to what pretrial has stated, he's also got an open criminal trespass and shoplifting case in Fulton County. That's 24 CR 002104A that he has a bench warrant on as well.
Sí, su señoría. Además, con respecto a los servicios previos al juicio, ha establecido que también él tiene un cargo penal de allanamiento y de robo de tienda en el condado de Fulton. Eso fue en el caso 24 CR 002104A. Y ese tiene una orden de arresto también.
I don't have
Señora,
access.
con respeto.
Madam, in relation to that,
Con respeto, todos estos cargos yo me quedé encerrado 3 meses.
I would advise him again.
señor, su abogado le ha pedido que no hable.
I don't have access to Odyssey, Ms. Deciano, now. I lost it about 5 hours ago. Is there a bond set on that case, or is it holding him in?
Yo no tengo acceso a mi sistema, por eso no lo he recibido desde 5 horas. ¿Hay alguna información sobre el monto de la fianza que lo está reteniendo?
So let me check his jailing because the original bond was a bind over, but I'm not sure if the jail has registered that as a hold yet. One
Eh,
moment.
Permítame chequear con la cárcel porque la fianza original fue derivada, pero no estoy segura que en la cárcel se haya registrado una detención todavía.
I thought I saw something about an ICE hold.
Creo que vi algo como una detención de inmigración también.
So I'm not seeing an ICE hold, but there is the FTA hold. It just says no bond.
No veo ninguna detención de inmigración, pero sí veo una detención debido a que no compareció al tribunal y dice que no se dará, no se dio fianza.
But I do see in the documents that there is possibly an ICE hold.
Pero sí veo en los documentos que hay una posibilidad que haya una detención de inmigración.
And Your Honor, he has an additional arrest from this year, from February for shoplifting as well in a different jurisdiction.
También tiene un arresto adicional de este año y es de febrero por el robo de tienda y también en una jurisdicción diferente.
This incident took place on December 27th. Officers were dispatched to the Lennox Place Apartments at 2572 Lennox Road.
Este incidente ocurrió el 27 de diciembre. Los oficiales fueron enviados al complejo de departamentos Lenox Place en el 2572 Lenox Road.
The maintenance man at the location called the police. He's familiar with the defendant because he used to sublet an apartment there.
El señor de mantenimiento en ese lugar llamó a la policía. Él está familiarizado con este acusado porque él sabía alquilarle un departamento ahí.
He was previously kicked out of the apartment and issued a criminal trespass warning prior to this incident.
Él previamente había sido echado del departamento y se emitió un aviso de allanamiento de morada anterior a este incidente.
Que haga lo que quiera el señor. Que haga lo que quiera el señor. Ni siquiera conoce a mi papá.
That man can do whatever he wants. He doesn't even know my father.
Que haga lo que quiera.
He can do whatever he
Yo
wants.
voy a estar encerrado aquí en la cárcel.
Jail
gonna be
court,
in jail.
jail court, can we please mute you there?
Por favor, podemos apagar el micrófono ahí.
The
Thank
maintenance
you.
man at the location was doing routine inspections and noticed that a door to an HVAC closet had been damaged and looked inside the HVAC closet and saw the defendant sleeping.
El señor de mantenimiento en el lugar estaba haciendo sus inspecciones rutinarias y notó que una puerta del closet del aire acondicionado había sido dañada y él miró adentro del closet y vio que el acusado estaba allí durmiendo.
And so, Your Honor, he's got a count for damaging the door and a count for being on the property with prior notice to depart. So the state's requesting a $500 surety bond on each count for a total of $1,000. Stay away from the location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if we could put both of his cases on SAP, I'll put the other case number in the chat.
Y también, su señoría, él tiene un cargo por dañar la puerta y por estar en la propiedad con previo aviso o notificación de que se fuera de allí. Entonces, la fiscalía solicita una fianza bajo garantía de $500 para cada cargo, un total de $1,000, que se mantenga distanciado del lugar, que quede prohibido el uso de armas, drogas y alcohol y que podamos poner este caso en la lista de causas estatales. Y también pondré el número en el chat de Zoom.
Mr. Bartels?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I did get the information regarding the notification of the arrest, so appreciate that. So there may or may not be an ICE issue to deal with. My client indicates that he was told he was being evicted from this apartment complex, but he believed that he could still stay a certain period of days after that. I think there was a little confusion on his part. Just given the allegations, we would just ask the court to consider a signature bond or a UJR. If he doesn't qualify for that, then he indicates nobody can post bond for him. So, the amount of bond really is a moot issue.
Sí,
I am
su
concerned.
señoría, gracias. Y yo creo que la información acerca de la notificación, recibí a la notificación del arresto, por eso le agradezco. Entonces, aquí puede haber una detención de inmigraciones o no. Mi cliente indica que a él se le dijo que se tenía que ir de este departamento, pero él creyó que podía todavía regresar eh, en cierto periodo de días después de eso y pienso que hubo una confusión por su parte. Entonces, dado a los alegatos, quisiéramos solicitar al juez que considerara una fianza bajo firma o una fianza bajo firma a través de la cárcel y si no cumple los requisitos para eso, porque él no puede pagar una fianza, entonces estoy preocupado por eso.
Okay, and I did get the message from state court about the bond on the FTA, so I appreciate that. I just was concerned if the FTA was holding him in without a bond showing on the screen.
Muy bien, yo sí recibí el mensaje de la Tribunal Estatal sobre la fianza por incumplimiento de comparecencia. Entonces yo agradezco, solo estoy preocupado por esa detención de incomparecencia sin una fianza que aparece en la pantalla.
And that is all for now, Your Honor.
Y eso es todo por ahora, señor juez.
All right, it'll be a $500 good bond per charge, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Lennox Place Apartments on Lennox Road. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Muy bien, será una fianza de $500 bajo firma por cada cargo, basado entonces en un total de $1,000 de fianza bajo firma. Se ordena distanciamiento de los departamentos Lennox Place en Lennox Road. Se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay,
Gracias.
I would also like him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing if necessary or anything else that might assist him.
Quisiera también informarle que una trabajadora social va a ir a visitarlo mientras esté bajo custodia, si es necesario, para asistirlo con eso.
Okay, very well, Judge. Thank you.
Muy bien,
Thank you.
juez.
Good luck to you, Mr. De La Cruz.
Buena suerte, señor de la Cruz.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. We appreciate your help this afternoon. Thank you for your patience as well.
You're very, very welcome and Happy New Year, sir.
You as
you,
well.
Ms.
Thank
Chance.
you.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, does that complete the calendar? That's all we have on this end.
Okay, we have 3 more on the calendar. So position number 5 was a Freeman,
Freeman?
right?
Yeah, Norris, you said
Tripoli.
you might be in medical. Did you? Is he in medical?
Oh, yes, that's the triplet Freeman or something like that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, MOU Medical, they psych out.
Okay, so
say it
that
again.
would probably need to be reset.
Yeah, that's the one I just went up to check on.
Okay, so that's going to be reset for tomorrow, 12/31.
Yes.
Okay, we also have a position 8, Samaya Horton.
Samaya Horton.
I was told she was released.
Okay.
Yeah, I called ACDC earlier, and they said that she was at Rice Street, and then I think Mr. Norris said she was released.
Okay, and we also have a position 18, a Rose Turner.
That's ready.
Rose Turner. I'm not sure. Hold on. Mr. McLean, did you interview Ms. Turner?
Yes, I did.
You did? Give me 1 second. I'm right here by the tank. I'll see if she's in here.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'm putting homework back in the close 14. Open 12. No problem. You got 1,000. You got 1,000. Yeah.
This time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Open 14. Okay, Your Honor, this is Ms. Turner, Ms. Rose Turner.
Good afternoon, Ms. Turner. This is a state court expedited accusation calendar. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008368J with simple battery. Let's see, is Ms. Jackson still there with me?
Yes, Your Honor, she has 2 cycles. The last arrest was July the 8th, 2024 in Fulton County for 2 counts of simple battery and criminal trespassing and disorderly conduct and obstruction of an officer. She does have 1 misdemeanor conviction. 2024. She received a suspended sentence for obstruction of an officer and simple battery, 2 counts in criminal trespass. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. So the defendant is on probation for that simple battery, criminal trespass, and obstruction. She was arrested in July and pled in July on the SAP calendar. That's 24 CR 004477D. She was ordered to stay away from the library downtown and undergo a BHET as part of that sentence. This incident happened on the 28th of December at about 9:30 p.m. Initially, police were called to 2424 Piedmont Road Northeast. The defendant was encountered at Lindbergh Station, loitering on the platform. Police made contact with her. She became combative and was taken to Grady for an evaluation. There, she kicked a registered nurse, Mrs. Brittany Butler, in the neck. At Grady, that's 80 Jesse Hill Jr. Drive, and she was taken into custody for that. So although she's here in front of you for a single charge of simple battery, there's clearly more going on, and there could have been other charges filed, but it appears that there just needs to be a mental health evaluation. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to stay away from MARTA. Seeing that in July, she was ordered to undergo a BHET. We would request some investigation into whether or not that was done and go ahead and escalate to a MHET and a social worker visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
I certainly agree that a social worker visit would be fruitful, and we should follow through and find out if that BHET got done. Your Honor, she is 44 years old. She's from Florida. Her sister is a nurse in Florida. Her daughter is, her two daughters work full-time jobs successfully in Florida. She gets her work here in Atlanta from temporary agencies. She's been up here a year, and things seem to be falling apart here in Georgia in the last year compared to relative calm in Florida for the 43 years. So we're not sure what's going on here, but social worker visit in the BHET, follow through and see the BHET done is absolutely something I agree with. I would ask the court, however, consider a signature bond while that goes on.
Okay. It'll be a $500 good bond. No further contact with Brittany Butner. Stay away from Grady unless she's seeking medical treatment. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. A social worker visit to make sure that the BHET has been done. If she doesn't get out, Mr. McLean, by the time she sees me at the SAP calendar, would you have your the SAP attorneys report to me, and I'll take another look at this so that we can see what we can best do for Ms. Turner, okay?
Yes, Your Honor, we've marked the SW in the appropriate color here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, good luck to you, Ms. Turner.
That's good luck to you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I think that completes our calendar
That completes it.
this afternoon. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you,
Ms.
everybody.
Bridgewater. You gonna stay around with us, Mr. Bartel, until we call the calendar, or am I letting you
Yes,
go?
I'll be around. I was bidding the deputies goodbye.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm still here.
Your Honor, are we ready?
I believe so.
Okay.
Y'all need to.
Okay. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is January the 14th. Position number 1 on the regular calendar is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. 3, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 4 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. 5 is being reset till tomorrow. Position 6 is no frost. 7 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 8, reset further notice, the defendant has been released. 9, SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. 10, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 11, reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 12 is being reset till tomorrow. 13, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 14, reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 15, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 16, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 17 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $4,000 good bond. 18 is going to the SAP calendar with a $500 good bond. 19, reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 20 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. 21 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. And to the add-on calendar, position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $4,000 good bond. And position 2, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
That's it.
Okay.
Very good. Hopefully we'll be up and running by tomorrow, knock on wood.
Hopefully, yes.
If not, we'll do it again.
Okay, I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening.
We have
Okay.
court tomorrow?
All right. Thank you, Judge.
What's that, Miss Allen?
We have court tomorrow.
We do.
Yes.
We have court tomorrow, Miss Allen, but we have other people covering it.
I'm glad I asked.
You don't
I
have
got a
court
call
tomorrow.
on Friday,
Yeah,
no,
you don't have court.
Thursday from the jail. They were prepping people for SEA and we didn't have court. So there was some communication issues. So thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Judge